G'day person watching this, just informing you that this video is long because I can't do short. G'day, Corbinate2000 here. Today I'm going to be showing off my melee Amara build for Borderlands 3. If punching things in the face and not using guns sounds appealing to you, then this is the build for you. This build is very good for mobbing, but it's also pretty good against most bosses in the game. So if this is something that interests you, feel free to watch this video and then give my build a try. So I'll be going over the skill tree first, then I'll go over the gear you'll need, and then I'll do a bit of a montage of me demonstrating the build in action. So yeah, let's just jump right into this. So first off, I want to go into the Brawl skill tree. This skill tree basically gives most of the bonuses for survivability and melee damage that we'll be needing. So first off, you want to grab the Face Slam action skill. This allows you to basically jump into the air and slam onto the ground, dealing damage to enemies. This is mostly only here just to proc melee damage anointments on our gear, which I'll be covering later. That's the only reason we're using Face Slam. Next you want to grab 5 points of clarity. This gives you health regeneration, and the lower your health, the more powerful it is. After your action skill, it is doubled basically. This is just very good for survivability. Next you want to grab 4 points of Root to Rise. This gives you max health. It's pretty self-explanatory. The only reason we're grabbing 4 points of this is to get down the skill tree a bit more. Next you want to grab 5 points in Helping Hands. This gives you damage reduction after using your action skill. This is again good for survivability. Next you want to grab all ranks of Samsara. Whenever you damage enemies with your action skills, you gain a stack of Samsara. Every stack of Samsara gives you gun damage, but most importantly health regeneration for a few seconds, and the stacks decay after a few seconds. This is just a very good skill for survivability yet again. Next you want to grab Find Your Center. This gives you melee damage bonus, and it also increases your melee range after using action skill. Very good melee skill. You also want to grab Revelation. This makes your action skill create a Nova when it damages enemies, and it deals damage to all nearby enemy. You lose a little bit of action skill damage, but you gain a Nova, and this really helps for getting Samsara stacks really easily. So that's why we've got this. Next you want to grab all ranks of 1 with Nature. This gives you a max health boost, and it increases your elemental damage resistance to your action skill element. So this is just good for, again, survivability yet again. Survivability. Great fucking English. Next you want to grab Do Unto Others. Whenever an enemy damages Amara, she automatically throws an energy orb back at them, dealing action skill elemental damage. This has a short cooldown rate, and the only reason I grab this is because it's basically free damage, and it also helps to get down to the final skill, which I'll be covering in a moment. Next you want to grab Guardian Angel. This allows you to basically get a free fight for your life every 2 minutes. It also gives you an action skill Elemental Nova when you get back up. It also gives you 50% of your max health, though this doesn't matter with certain fucking Guardian rank shit. Next you want to grab Blitz as well. This is just a great skill for melee because it basically allows you to just dash at people and deal elemental melee damage. Don't need to worry about that because it's a skill that's going to basically give that effect all the time. If Blitz kills an enemy, the cooldown is reset. So if you can insta-kill enemies, you can just chain Blitz, and it's pretty cool. One thing about Blitz though is it does seem to have a way of bugging out and not actually punching people when it really should. Can get really annoying, but yeah, that's just one thing that's the only thing that's really annoying about Blitz. Right, next thing you want to go into the Fist of the Elements skill tree, and this is where you'll be putting the rest of your points in. So you want to grab 5 points of an Anima. This allows your status effects to deal increased damage over time and have it increased duration. And it's the action skill status effect deals increased damage, so that's pretty good. Next you want to grab 5 points of Tempest. This allows you to do more elemental damage, and shock damage is further increased. This is very good because this next skill, Illuminated Fist, gives you plus melee damage, which is pretty nice. But most importantly, it allows you melee damage to be converted to your action skill element, which means you can do fire, corrosive, and shock elemental attacks, which is very, very good, because this allows you to basically do a lot of damage. Next you want to grab 5 points of Wildfire. Whenever Amara applies a status effect to an enemy, it has a chance to spread to nearby enemies. This is just generally a nice skill to have, as you can have a chance to spread all the elemental damage to everyone, and more damage to everyone means it's good shit. Next you want to grab 3 points of Catharsis. Whenever Amara triggers an elemental effect on an enemy, when the enemy dies, that enemy explodes, dealing the turn elemental damage along with any other element that is currently afflicted to the enemy. Has a short cooldown though. This is just a pretty cool skill, and it's nice for mobbing. Next you want to grab this Deep Wells. This increases your magazine size with elemental weapons. While this is a melee build, you might want to carry it's nice to carry around a elemental weapon as just a backup, and this is mostly to get down to spend the last 2 points to put in sustainment. This gives your weapons, elemental weapons, lifesteal. Only getting about 8%, which is not too much. I would like to have more, but this does work quite well, as you can. This can be as a bit of a panic button. So if you're really low on health, you can just chuck out a bunch of elemental weapons, like switch to a really powerful one and just start spamming it to get a little bit of health back. It's just a generally nice skill. As for the action skill element, you're going to mostly want to use Soulfire. You're pretty much going to be using Soulfire for pretty much the entire time, since most enemies are weak to fire, and with all the other the gear, will be able to help nullify like the shock shields and most armor. If you're going up against certain bosses though that are weak to shock or have armor, that's when you'd probably want to switch to Blight Tiger or the default shock damage. So yeah, before I change over to gear, I will just show off my Guardian rank. I do have quite a lot of it, but mostly you're going to be wanting to spend your points on just getting extra melee damage and extra survivability and action skill cooldown rate. So you'll be mostly spending it in Enforcer and Hunter. But one thing I would really highly suggest you do is to not get shield reboot, as killing an enemy triggers shield regeneration. This is something you're not going to want to get for a specific reason, and I'll cover that now actually with gear. So for gear, you're not going to really need that much actually, because melee builds, actually that's the one thing about melee builds, they're not that gear dependent. You only need to get a few bits of gear and you're set, and sometimes the level doesn't even matter. So first off, we'll go over the shield actually, because this is what I'm talking about with the fucking Guardian rank. So I've got a Brawl award. This is the Brawl award. This basically is the best melee shield in the game. This allows your weapon, so the variant I've got increases my weapon damage when shield is depleted, completely irrelevant. This one gives me 300% melee damage when my shield is depleted. This is important, and specifically you want the Brawl award. This is the very specific variant you want. It also gives you max health regeneration when your shields are active, and it's doubled when it's depleted. This is good for survivability. And I've got mine actually a perfect variant, as mine gives me also a little bit of shock resistance, which is pretty nice, and it also has the anointment of when I face slam, melee damage is increased by 200% for a short time. This is basically the best variant of the Brawl award you want to get. Ideally, if you can't get the anointment, just get one with the Brawl award, just the variant I have, less the anointment. And the reason we don't want to grab the fucking shield reboot is because your shield has to be depleted to do the melee damage, and if you're killing something and it starts regenerating, you're going to lose that 300% melee damage. That is something you don't want. You want all the melee damage you can get. So next, we'll go over the class mod. You want a Breaker class mod, specifically one that boosts Find Your Center. And ideally, you'd probably want one that, that's basically the only thing. All the other skills don't really matter. So with this, class mod, you gain damage reduction the more closer you are to an enemy. Good for survivability. And ideally, the extra bonus stats, you want one that increases melee damage, action skill cooldown rate, and health regeneration. Those are the 3 things you want to look out for. I've got melee damage on mine, but I've also got Jacob weapon accuracy and Atlas fire rate. It's not ideal for the melee build, but it's nothing too much. The melee damage is good though. Grenade, I carry around a Hex grenade. Even though this thing got nerfed a little while back, this is still a very good grenade. And I've got a shock one, which helps with stripping down helping to strip down shields to allow for more insta kills with Blitz. this is still a very good grenade, and it's basically the only grenade I really need. And yeah, it's like, there's not really a part of the build, it's just there to be there. For artifacts, I carry around 2. The main artifact is my static charge with a cryo stone, bonus, basically a melee damage, elemental melee damage bonus on it. Variant I've got is cryo, which is in my opinion the best variant. The static charge allows you to build up a static charge, as the name suggests, causing you your next melee damage, I should say, melee attack, fuck I can't speak, to do bonus 50% bonus shock damage that chains to enemies, which is pretty good. The thing is that 50% damage bonus is semi a lie. It actually, the more you slide, the more static charge you build up, and you can actually get the static charge proc to do a lot of damage. I've actually gotten it up to doing about 100,000 damage in one punch, and it can kill, basically you punch someone, you can kill another person next to you. It's really good. And it also, the fact that it gives you shock damage, plus the fact you'll be using soulfire means you got fire damage, which means you're basically covering flesh and shield. The cryo damage is pretty good as well, because it's generally a nice element. Other elements I'd suggest trying to get is either radiation and potentially shock, to basically double down on the shield thing. Corrosive and fire, not really ideal, because fire, you'll get more damage if you have a fire and then have like any other element. Fire is your main action skill element. If you get a fire one, you want to switch over to shock, and I found that it's not as powerful. In corrosive, well, it's not really that useful. The extra bonus effects I've got on mine aren't that good. I've gained bonus luck, which is nice. Area of effect damage, which I think boosts my action skill Nova, which is going to be okay. But the shield recharge delay is not good. You do not want that. But this is the only variant I've got, so I have to kind of work with it. It doesn't kill the Brawl award though. It still has a decent recharge delay. The other artifact you do want to get is an Unleash the Dragon. Excuse the grammar. This basically allows your melee attacks to have a good chance, basically a guaranteed chance to ignite people on fire. And from what I've seen, it always comes with the bonus melee damage, and it also comes with either incendiary resistance and incendiary damage. Incendiary damage is the one you want though. This is mostly used for bossing actually, because you can just put this on and go up to most bosses that are weak to fire and just melt, because the elemental damage, the elemental dot, actually scales with the melee damage and how much damage your melee strike does. So if you can do a lot of damage on a melee strike, like if the fucking stars align and you get like you get basically all the melee damage bonus you can get, you can just basically literally melt shit. It's pretty good. But for the most part, you'll be using the static charge, since this is the most versatile. Because I find the Unleash the Dragon, it's only really good if you can get things that are like weak to that are just flesh enemies. If they've got shields or if they've got armor, it really drops off quite quickly. As for the weapons, you want to carry the butt plug. This is just the best, base melee weapon in the game. It gives you 110% melee damage and double melee damage when you hit someone in the back. Very, very good. I also carry a face puncher around. Variant I've got has also got a melee damage anointment on it. The face puncher basically is a shotgun that scales with melee damage. So the more melee damage you're able to do, the more damage the face puncher does. I've mostly got this here just for mutual affiliation, because being a melee build, it's nice to just have that there. This build does not use the face puncher at all though, and that's one thing I wanted specify with this melee build, is that you will be punching things in the face. I found a lot of melee builds end up using the face puncher more for its main point of damage, and it kind of doesn't feel like a true melee build. Like, you can still use melee with those builds, but they mostly focus on the face puncher. As for the other two weapons, kind of your choice. I suggest carrying at least one decent elemental weapon around with you, just to help with, like, just as a panic button really. I've got basically anything you want really, just go with whatever thing's going. If it's like you're going up against things that are weak to flash, carry a fire. Got things that have got plenty of shields, use a shock. If you got things that are maybe robots, go corrosive or something. Just, yeah, do whatever. And I also carry around a Vanquisher. This is mostly just to get around places more quickly when I'm in between fights, and since this thing boosts your slide speed, this helps with traveling, and since this will also double as a way to build up your static charge. So before you go in, when you first enter combat, you're going to do a nice bit of static charge damage. So yeah, that's pretty much the build. Yeah, pretty much the idea is you'll be sliding around, building up the static charge, and then punching things, activating your skill to basically get melee damage. Ideally, and if your shield goes down, you'll get bonus melee damage and health regen to help with survivability. So yeah, now I'll just do a bit of a montage of me showing off the build. So yeah, this is where I'm basically going to stop speaking. If you enjoyed if you enjoy the build, hopefully you enjoy the build, I should say. Leave a like if you've tried this out and like it. Comment down below if you want me to do another build video or other types of Borderlands videos you'd like me to do. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy the montage.